Hola. Okay, so in this tutorial we're going to be looking at talking about jobs. Asking somebody what their job is, what they do for a living, and then telling people. So if we look at me, for example, I could say, so teacher is professor. Professor. So if I say I am a teacher, I just say soy profesor. So in Spanish they don't say I am a teacher, they don't use the word for or am, they just say soy profesor. Now, if I were a female teacher, I would say soy profesora. Okay, so sometimes there are certain words in Spanish which are, there are different words for the male and female for jobs. And sometimes it's sometimes the difference, and sometimes the words are both the same for both masculine and feminine. We'll look at that in a bit more detail and the kind of rules that govern that. So if somebody asks me what's your job, what do you do for a living, I say soy profesor. So let's look at some ways of asking somebody what they do. So you could say ¿En qué trabajas? ¿En qué trabaja if you're being formal, or en qué trabajas if you're being informal? So I'm just going to use the informal version. Whatever the formal version is, just take off the S and you'll have the usted form. You can say ¿En qué trabajas? You could say ¿Cuál es tu profesión? ¿Cuál es tu profesión? If you want to be formal, you'd say your. So this is your when it's tu, and the your when it's usted is su. So that's the only difference. ¿Cuál es tu profesión? Or ¿Cuál es su profesión? The one that I prefer is ¿A qué te dedicas? ¿A qué te dedicas? Or ¿A qué se dedica? Sorry, I've done it the wrong way around. Dedicas and dedica. Okay, so ¿A qué te dedicas? Or ¿A qué se dedica? So what do you dedicate yourself? It's a bit like what do you do for a living? It's and it's my preferred. It's the one that I always ask people. It's perhaps a little more difficult, so because it's it's like really like that. So sort of practice. ¿En qué trabajas? ¿Cuál es tu profesión? And if you're being more formal, ¿cuál es su profesión? And then the one that I prefer, ¿A qué te dedicas? ¿A qué te dedicas? And the formal version of that, ¿A qué se dedica? ¿A qué se dedica? You could just keep it going like ¿A qué se dedica? But you got to, there's only so many of those you can do. And I can say soy profesor, or I can say trabajo, I work, or yo trabajo, although that's not necessary. Trabajo de profesor. So I work as, but they use the word de, which is normally of or from. So trabajo de profesor. And again, you're not using the word for you don't say trabajo de un profesor. You don't say soy un profesor. You say without the word for or an. Okay. Let's look at some jobs now. Also, how do you make, if you have a job, then if there's a female version of that job, how do you make it? So we can pretty much divide the jobs into 4 categories. So we've got jobs where it ends with an O, camarero. Okay, camarero, and the female, the O changes to an A, so camarera. And then we've got where it ends with professor, so it ends like OR. you just add an A to make it feminine, profesora. Then you've got something like estudiante. Estudiante, so that's student. Now if it ends with an E, the feminine is the same. So the word for student, for male or female, is estudiante, doesn't change. And then the other group is words which end ista. So if they end with ista, ista at the end, then they don't change in the feminine. So the receptionist could be a male or female receptionist. So we're going to look at words. I'm going to put a word here and then taxista. So taxista goes here. It's doesn't change. Taxista is a taxi driver, male or female. We've got another word which is arquitecto. So arquitecto, that will go here. So arquitecto, arquitecto masculine and arquitecta feminine. Okay, then we've got deportista. Deportista is a sportsman or a sportswoman. Because it ends ista, it doesn't change. Deportista. Okay, then we've got painter, pintor. Pintor is more of a, like an artistic painter. Pintor, so it's like professor. Pintor or pintora. Also we've got conductor, driver, conductor or conductora. So put it over here. I'll write again. Conductor, conductora, representante. Representante ends with an E, so it's representante. It's like a sales rep, sales representative. Representante, so it's masculine and feminine. Then we've got director, so a director or a manager, director, directora, and medico is a male doctor, and medica, female doctor. Then we've got escritor. Escritor is a male writer, escritora, female writer. What else have we got? Carpintero. Carpintero, carpintera. We've got electricista. Electricista doesn't change in the feminine. We need another one to answer this. Would be ingeniero and ingeniera. So female engineer, ingeniera. Then we've got in this group cantante. So male singer, cantante. So we could say that Madonna is cantante. Can't think of any male singers at the moment. I don't want to say something that's really naff like Justin Bieber. I don't really want to use somebody that's, I can't think of anybody. Julio Iglesias is cantante. Then we've got periodista. So periodista is journalist. So male or female journalist, periodista. We've got vendedor, vendedora, salesperson, more like a, similar to representante. Then we've got fontanero, fontanera is a plumber, and Oficinista, office worker. Oficinista doesn't change. So let's just have a practice. So fontanero, fontanera. Arquitecto, arquitecta. Medico, medica. Carpintero, carpintera. Ingeniero, ingeniera. And then the next group, so pintor and pintora. So you adding the A, you add an extra syllable. Conductor, conductora. Director, directora. Escritor, escritora. Vendedor, vendedora. Okay, then the ones where the ends in an E, representante, estudiante, cantante, and ones where it ends ista, where there's only one form, we've got recepcionista, taxista, deportista, electricista, periodista, and finally oficinista. So there are the jobs. So hopefully one of your jobs will be up there. If not, just either ask me in a lesson or Google Translate and or word reference, and you'll be able to find it. And you'll know if you just find the masculine form, you'll know if you need to do anything to make it feminine, or whether it's just the same as the masculine. Okay, so that's how to talk about jobs. Okay, so hasta la próxima.